Shalom, shalom, everybody. This Prophets of Awakening. This is our Monday class, 21st of September, 2020. And as usual, we're gonna give a moment of silence for all that the Lord of Hosts is doing pertaining to our deliverance from among our captives and our oppressors. And then we're gonna go into a little practice.
You've managed to find your way over to this.
Okay, so. Oh Lord, we thank you for your great mercy and your great power and wisdom. We tarry, waiting for your powerful deliverance of your people Israel. Oh Lord, you have given us insight into the scriptures of our forefathers. You, O Lord, has directed us who you are in your role in the goings on of heaven and earth. We come this Sabbath day, we come this day, doubtless that you will appear and that you will gather your nation from among these wicked Gentiles. O Lord, you spoke through your prophets, Isaiah, and said that you would help Abraham's seed, that you, O Lord, have scattered. You have completed that promise as this day. You said, O Lord, that you would remove the darkness from around us. Tarry not, O Lord. The latter days are here. We are waiting and watching for you, O Lord. Peace be unto you. Okay. So anybody got any current events?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's some guy on YouTube. It's a brother, older
Okay.
guy, and his handle is, it says Pharaoh said it. He said 12 reasons why blacks should not return to, or African, I think it said African American, should not return to, or go to Africa of that nature.
Okay.
And he was saying that people aren't talking about going to Africa, talking about us, aren't talking about going to Africa. How come the people on the YouTube, and he said specifically, I heard him say, Dr. Moonby, how come Dr. Moonby isn't telling people to come to Africa? She's saying it all the time, just about every time she's saying it. And he's saying, how come he don't hear her telling the people that leave in Africa not to leave? He says, how come he's not hearing other people tell folks that's leaving Africa not to leave? So I don't know where this man been, but I see it all over. All on YouTube. I hear people talking about it. I mean, so I don't know, but I was just curious if anybody else had heard this guy. And
what his name?
His handle is Pharaoh said it.
Yeah, I think don't he have glasses?
Yeah, I believe he does.
Yeah, I think I know who that is.
Yeah, and
another. Yeah, I know him.
Yeah, and another is so it's like they're like protesting businesses in Africa that have said or done things that's like racial towards the people there. So like Malema had they protest and demonstrated in front of this clique. I don't know what kind of store it is, or retail place it is. But so I guess they starting to get on fire with spreading it that he's saying if you say something that's racial and demeaning about Africans, we come into your business. And I think that's very good. That's very, very good. So
Okay.
That was interesting. Let me see if I had something. No, that was it.
Okay. Yeah, they gearing up for something, because you can tell the way that Dr. Arcana, what she's saying and what she's doing. I mean, it's all really obvious, really, that she's gonna be the next AU chairman. You're already pretty much playing the role already, as it, yeah. So Well, one of the things I wanted to talk about was I'm gonna play a little bit of it. If you want to watch the whole thing later on, you can. It's this guy's talking about he says take your money out of your bank. So I'm gonna let some of that play because of, it goes back to some of the stuff I've been saying in the past.
Link will give people a bit of time to come over. And if anyone is listening to this yet, then please do let me know that you can hear me okay and that the internet is streaming okay. We've got Azad here who is going to be picking out your questions. Just while we're waiting for people to come through, we've had a few issues with Zoom for some reasons. The whole world is using Zoom and their customer support no longer works. We've been waiting 3 weeks. They charged us twice and we were downgraded for the pleasure of being charged twice. So we're using direct onto YouTube. Hopefully this is all working. I think from the looks of things, everything is a lot better than the last link, getting a few thumbs up. Thank you. Excellent. Okay. All right. Okay. We'll get there in the end. So today I want to talk about an important topic, which is something that most people won't care about until it is too late. But if you're a subscriber on my YouTube channel, then you'll be familiar with why I think this way. So I sent out a tweet this week, and it was explaining to people that were saying that Bitcoin is a bit too risky for them. My response to them was that I hold my money in Bitcoin because I am risk adverse. Now, most people won't understand that, but many of my followers completely understand that. And that is because Bitcoin gives you the ability to own your own money, spend your own money, and is not subject to some of the funny money policies by governments at the moment and central banks. And so today I'd like to actually talk about a topic that is very important. Given that I believe we are in the Great Depression of 2020, it's not been referred to it as the Great Depression of 2020 because they will wait probably until 2023 until they call this Great Depression of 2020 in the history books. But I'd like to cover some of the things that I'm looking out for next and why I think that people should only have their spending money in a bank and no more. So if you've been liquidating assets and fleeing to safety by putting your money in a bank, which is the strategy that most people follow when they're looking at times of uncertainty, they remove and they liquidate some of their assets for cash, and with the belief that cash is king and cash is the safe place to be. But I believe that cash is a very unsafe place to be in the current environment. It might protect you from volatility, but it doesn't protect you from many of the counterparty risks that exist within the banking system. And so you'd be forgiven for thinking that although we are in one of the craziest economies we've ever seen, well, when stock markets are at all-time high and people may be forgiven for thinking that it doesn't look like we're going to have a bad time in the market. People still have a lot of money, they're still investing that money, and stocks are hitting all-time highs. I believe that's a bit of a calm before the storm. And so what I'll share with you today, why I think it's important. So the first thing is that if you're familiar with my YouTube, if you've been looking at my videos even from way back in 2010, from when Bitcoin was created, you'll be familiar with my content that I covered for the first time in a succinct way in my book, Bank to the Future, Protect Your Future Before Governments Go Bust. And the three forces of banking, you've probably heard it from me a million times. If you're new to my YouTube channel, welcome. I will cover it briefly, but there's three challenges with holding your money at a bank. The first is that when you hold your money at a bank, the bank becomes the legal owner of your money. And in times of uncertainty, they can use your money to recapitalize their bank. It's what's known as a bail-in. If they threaten the economy and hold it to ransom for a bail-in, bailout rather, and they don't get that bailout, then they can just simply bail in, because when you deposit your money at a bank, the bank becomes the legal owner of your money. Secondly, when they become the legal owner of their money, your money, they spend it as they choose, and they spend it as collateral in issuing loans. And the number one product that they like to use your money for is lending it out for mortgage loans. And so mortgage is the mechanism. While they can't just strictly spend it as they choose, they can use it in order to redirect loans. And every time they issue a loan, it creates new money. And it's the world's largest regulated Ponzi scheme called the creation of money. The third thing is that you're at the mercy of how much money banks want to create determines the money supply. Central banks try and influence it, but the governments have outsourced the creation of digital currency, which is 97% of all the money in the economy, to the private banking sector. And every time they issue a loan, it increases the money supply. And if you default on that loan, it decreases the money supply. Or if you repay that loan, it decreases the money supply, unless another bank issues a further loan in the world's largest regulated Ponzi scheme, where you have to get deeper and deeper into debt in order to stimulate the economy. So that is the three forces that I've talked about many times of a bank. The reason I'm interested and got into Bitcoin in the first place is because it allowed you to do the opposite. It gave you money that you can own, money that you can spend peer-to-peer without a middleman, and money that has the fixest, most digital, scarce money supply that has ever existed in terms of the ability to change that supply and dilute your savings. So those are three important factors. If you know my story, you'll know that I know, but essentially it means I wanted to create a bank where people could own their own money, people could spend their own money, and then it could only be allocated to hypothecation only under the permission of people. And it turned out that that's impossible. And then Bitcoin came and created the technology that made such things possible. And now we're seeing record levels of innovation built atop of the industry that emerged from Bitcoin. And the interesting thing about the economy that we're seeing today is, decentralized financial products have got approximately $10 billion locked up in them. When I first started talking about these decentralized financial products before the lockdown, there was about 250 million. So it's going through an exponential growth cycle during this current what is health crisis that is an economic crisis that hasn't led to a financial crisis yet. But as I'm about to tell you, the types of things I'm looking for when we can actually see whether this is actually going to lead to an economic crisis. So I'm just going to pull up a couple of, hopefully everything's still working okay. Yep, just checking in the live chat. Welcome everybody. If you're watching this, please do like, please do share this. YouTube's algorithm, I think we're shadow banned now. Some of you are getting notifications, others aren't.
Yeah. I was playing this here because, like I had said the other day, people don't understand what these people are doing. It's all a script, and they created this COVID-19 to put everybody in a jam and put all the businesses in a jam because of. I was playing this because of what I'm gonna deal with for the class is this thing they call it a global reset. And then when you understand, they've been telling everybody all along how they gonna do it by these different conferences they've been having. And so, like I was saying before, people just looking at the fact that they focusing in on the fact that they limited on what they can do and where they can go and all that because of COVID-19. But these people creating a tsunami, and that's going, just coming, and it's already here because of they controlling the media and everything, not really telling you what's really happening, but everything is collapsing around us, and they said it that way because they're gonna do away with the dollar, and they're gonna come in with this and like I said, they got everybody thinking that, they make you think cryptocurrency is iffy, and it ain't gonna do this and it ain't gonna do that. But they did that before with the Rothschilds did that when I was telling you about the story with Napoleon. They got Napoleon to go and start conquering all those countries because that's what they do. They bring war, tear everything down, then they come back and make billions and billions of dollars off of building it back up. But they gave Napoleon all that power, and Napoleon liked it. And Napoleon branched out from them and started doing his own thing. So they had to find a way to cut him off. So they got all the other nations together and cut him off at Waterloo. And then everybody was waiting to see if Napoleon had won or if the Allied forces had won. And they sent a message back a week early saying that Napoleon had won. So everybody knew, how Napoleon was. And so they snatched all their money out, sold all their stuff on the stock market and got out of the banking system. Then the Rothschilds came in and bought it all up. And then the message came later that the Allied forces had won. But they knew they had won all along. So that's how they ended up in the position they're in now with 95 to 90% of the money in the world when they did that. Well, they're doing the same thing again with this. And so the guy's telling you right here to take your money out of the bank because when they do this reset, more than likely, the dollar ain't gonna be no more good. And it's not even I don't even think it's an option that they're gonna convert the money that you have in there, the dollar amount and convert it over to Bitcoin. You're just gonna lose that money. And they didn't, like I said, they did this numerous times. They did it during the time of Hitler. They'll set up a tyrant, bring a tyrant on the scene, and then let him cause all kind of havoc, and then they cut him off. And then next thing you know, they done stripped all the people of their money, and they got all the money. And that's what we're looking at right now. So I was playing this. I'm gonna play a little more of it, but I'm going to the other video that's really profound. I'm gonna play a little more of this.
The more we talk about Bitcoin and the economy. Yeah, so this is something we've been dealing with as an industry for approximately a decade now, and things are getting a lot better. One of the things that we're going to be doing during the retirement plan B, we talked about that, is going through the whole process of setting up crypto-friendly banking. It depends upon your net worth and it depends upon your current situation. So I currently, I work with a private bank. The reality is that's not something you want to announce because as soon as a bank announces that they're being crypto friendly, they become a target of SWIFT and some of the other networks. But what we'll be doing during the Retirement Plan B online coaching program is working with crypto friendly banks with a select group of people and helping them get a setup. There's a couple of setups. One we're working on at Bank to the Future for our clients as well that actually want to leverage if they're not ready for private banking. At this stage, private banking typically kicks in once you hit about $1 million of net worth in terms of fiat deposits. And then you can work with a crypto-friendly bank. I work with a couple, but I obviously, those banks like to not make a big song and dance around that because it's a systemically risky system. Even if a bank wants to support the industry, they have to clear into other banks, which is why Bitcoin actually exists in the first place, because it creates something outside of the financial system. And you have these intermediary banks. So for example, in the case of the UK, there are about 5 different banks that cleared directly into the Bank of England. They're called clearing banks. And other smaller banks build on top of these clearing banks. So you have the central bank where the clearing banks have a bank account with the central bank. Then you have the intermediary clearing banks, and then you have smaller banks that sit on top of those clearing banks. And some of those non-clearing banks. Clearing banks don't want to touch the crypto industry. Ever since 9/11, when the Patriot Act came along, it became the duty of the financial institution to detect any criminal activities that occur through that bank. and therefore it developed a risk adverse, and that actually means that you end up with companies that want to, banks that want to serve the crypto industry. They have to put together lots of bespoke processes in order to serve the industry, and there's quite a few banks that do that right now. But yeah, normal clearing banks, they don't want to see crypto transactions, just not even if it's anything to do with crime or anything like that, just simply because they just see it as something that they can't actually deal with because of the risk profile, because since the Patriot Act and various other laws that came in since 9/11, it just means...
Yeah, so they want you to think that, like I was saying before, they want you to think that these they're acting like cryptocurrency is a cancer, but that's they play, because of whenever they do what they're gonna do, and they come in with the whole time they got cryptocurrency accounts all over the place. So when they do come in, they're gonna end up gobbling up all the money, because they was already set to in place to receive what they already know what they're going to do. It's like inside bank, inside what they call that when you do with the stock market, insider trading, already knowing what's going on. So you already positioned, because you already know what stocks going to do what, because you got inside information, and that's what they're doing right here. But like I was saying before, I played this video right here for the one I'm getting ready to play, and then it's gonna make sense. But anybody got any comments about what I'm talking about? Anything they want to say, or question? Okay, so what I'm gonna do right now is get this other video. Okay.
So overall then, how does this affect you? Well, I got
this video right here is called the Great Reset, and this is going to explain everything that we see going on and where they headed with it.
Very strong shaking. I think we need to get under the desk. All right, we're going to go to break. We'll be right back. We'll be right back. Wow.
Unprecedented disaster, spiraling flames in all directions.
Hello from the World Economic Forum in Geneva.
Yeah, it's called the Great Economic Reset, Reset Initiative, and they had a big thing, world conference about it back in 2018, 2019, and they said everything that's going on now, they already planned it.
Hi and welcome to the channel today. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Neil McCoy Ward, and firstly I want to let you know that this video today, this production, is not politically motivated. I've tried to keep it as neutral and unbiased and factual as I possibly can. But of course I appreciate all of you subscribers who have warned me against creating this video, and that I understand the risks of it being taken down and censorship, even though I believe that the entire video is factual. Due to the mystery shrouding the World Economic Forum and the Great Reset Initiative, I'm going to do my best today to explain these concepts, as well as what is Davos, who are the players involved, the partners, the investors involved in this entire initiative, what is the fourth industrial revolution. And finally, I'll be wrapping up with a finance aspect, a finance prediction on what I think is really going on with the fiat currencies that exist in the world right now, and what is happening with the US dollar, and overall what this really means for you. If you enjoy my videos, please remember to click the like button and also get involved in the discussion below in the comments. Let me know what you think really is going on with this whole Great Reset initiative. With that said, let's get into it.
When we look at the tremendous challenge which we have in creating this Great Reset.
So let me just start by explaining the key player in the entire process here. This is the architect of the World Economic Forum, Professor Klaus Schwab. He is the founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum.
About the Great Reset.
This great reset, mean a great reset.
I think the world which we want to create with the Great Reset
It's the final day of the World Economic Forum in Davos.
So for those of you that don't know, Davos is a small town in Switzerland where the elite meet every single year to discuss global issues.
The annual gathering of political and business leaders has focused on climate change.
In California, where dozens of wildfires are now raging out of control.
Tonight, the Creek Fire is being called an unprecedented disaster. The wildfires burning throughout the West are especially destructive this year. Scientists say they're fueled by climate change. The fires now ripping through several states, leaving a path of immeasurable destruction. This fire exploding in Utah, others racing through the Pacific Northwest.
So let me show you the World Economic Forum's promotional video to explain what is Davos.
Davos is about a lot more than just money. It's about economies and how we structure them to help the poor, the wealthy, and everyone in between. It's about improving the state of the world. I mean, that's literally the motto. And proof of point, you'll see more trade unionists here than you will central bankers, more scientists than economists.
Now, I do need to pull them up on this part of the video because from looking at the partnership list and the investor list, it does tend to look as though this is the 0.1% of the world's elite who is in attendance at Davos. So who pays for Davos? Well, according to the website, this is the world's most significant business entities who foot the bill. The forum offers different levels of membership and partnership. Now look at these fees. The membership fees range from 60,000 to 600,000. So let's just convert this in Swiss francs. That's 65,500 US dollars to 657,500 US dollars. So I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound as though that would just be the average person in attendance. But let's look at the partnership list then here. We have everyone from MasterCard to Microsoft. These are some big companies that you will know straight away. We also have in attendance some more.
Yeah. So what's significant about what these companies he listed now is, I was telling you about these same people and these same companies were they was involved with what happened with Napoleon. They was involved in the transatlantic slave trade, and in particular, they the ones supported Hitler. They was behind the scenes funding Hitler. So all these companies go all the way back, and then you come to find out they are Luciferian worshipers.
Controversial organizations such as the Soros Fund Management. So this is George Soros's company. BP, British Petroleum, is another one. We also have Bayer in attendance. So BP is an energy company. Bayer, of course, International Chemicals, they purchase Monsanto. So the next question is, who are the people involved in this initiative? So let's take a look at a few most famous, well-known ones now then.
I think an epidemic, either naturally caused or intentionally caused, is the most likely thing to cause, say, 10 million excess deaths. And that it's pretty surprising how little preparedness there is for it.
Very pleased to welcome George Soros, billionaire philanthropist and former hedge fund manager. And today we're going to discuss the difference between a natural phenomenon and social phenomenon, an idea, a big idea, Mr. Soros, that has really guided you through life.
It's my pleasure. George Soros's dinner at Davos is a bit of an institution at this event. He usually comes out with strong criticism of something. So George Soros really, using his platform here at Davos to speak to those, rich and famous who come to the World Economic Forum. We know that he's in the past has been a major donor to the Democratic Party in the United States. He didn't say anything about which candidate he might be supporting in the Democratic primary, but certainly no holding back on his criticism of President Trump.
Clearly, I consider the Trump administration a danger to the world, but I regard it as a purely temporary phenomenon that will disappear in 2020.
We have a unique... You really need to see this right now. Thinking window of opportunity to learn lessons and reset ourselves on a more sustainable path.
History would look at this crisis as the great opportunity for reset.
Now, let me just interject here, not just because she looked down as she made that statement, but this is Kristalina Georgieva. She's a Bulgarian economist, if you don't know who she is, and the managing director of the IMF, which is the International Monetary Fund. Now, previously to this, she was the chief executive at the World Bank, and she was also the vice president of the European Commission before that. So just notice these titles for a moment. Managing director, chief executive. What many people don't realize is that the IMF and the World Bank are not charities. They are also not government organizations. These are private institutions. So this is a point that is never mentioned, and I don't think most people realize. And wherever the IMF and World Bank go, there is always a lot of controversy, as well as mass protests against both the IMF and the World Bank, who make loans to developing or struggling countries.
The Great Reset is a welcome recognition that this human tragedy must be a wake-up call. All elements of the Great Reset are fundamental to building the future we need.
It's one versus many, man versus nature, and the unfortunate foundation is long-term versus short-term.
There's no doubt that the very survival of the human race requires us to act.
And then we need to couple that with new initiatives to equip more people with the digital skills they'll need, not just to have a tech job, but a job that is increasingly tech-enabled in almost every part of the economy.
The next time someone tells us that tackling climate change is either too costly or too difficult, I think we need to remind them and remind ourselves of what just is happening right now.
So this is Bernard Looney. He's the CEO of BP, or British Petroleum. He took over in around about February, March, I believe, of this year, 2020, and he worked his way up through the ranks of BP. So BP, this is the irony of this, were found by numerous studies to be one of the biggest contributors to climate change in the world over recent decades. So I do find it quite ironic that we are receiving a lecture on climate change here from the CEO of BP, and that he's somehow involved, or the company somehow involved, in the renewable energy aspect of this. The other person that I'm somewhat perplexed by is the CEO of MasterCard. So again, another financial institution being given a voice here. There seems to be a lot of finance involved with this initiative, which is supposed to be around green, sustainability, etc. So overall then, how does this affect you? Well, I've gone to the painstaking trouble of watching hours and hours of these World Economic Forum briefings and live streams and Q&A sessions so that I can actually get to the bottom of a lot of it. And I've just pulled out a few key points here that I'll now play for you.
The crisis has triggered a precipitous rise in levels of unemployment. Unemployment creates strong societal risks. And we have already seen the impact it is having in terms of social unrest worldwide.
Talking about COVID-19, they brought it on the scene and it's doing just what they wanted to do.
In terms of impoverishment, many emerging countries are now facing a dramatic situation in which an increasing level of citizens will face deep poverty issues. With again cascading effects in terms of, for example, involuntary migration, mass migration to richer countries.
It's been called the largest Central American migrant caravan.
They say they want to cause mass migrations
In decades.
The fourth vote of migrants that we have seen so far today.
And what is apparent already from the COVID pandemic is that it has acted as an accelerator of existing risks. So things that were already emerging a few years ago are now happening at a much faster pace than used to be the case.
500,000 and more, as we know, are coming. And at the moment, the numbers show every sign not of declining, but of intensifying.
When we talk about business closures and potential bankruptcies, do you expect this to be to happen on a large scale?
It's going to be pretty shocking at the end of the day when we look at it and see the number of bankruptcies and business closures that happened. A lot happened during the financial crisis. A lot more are going to happen because of the COVID-19 crisis.
We know store closures are picking up already, but this is a very different phenomenon. It's going to have huge ripple effects, I would imagine, on the labor market, on the shopping malls, on towns, on budget.
So you're going to see a falling out of number of stores. You're going to accelerate the trend of the poorer malls, the C and D malls closing.
So you can see pretty much everything is closed. You've got one shop open on the right, and then you've got
they got all these stores and malls and everything closing, but they're not putting it on TV, on the news.
So the unemployment rate getting back to the kinds of level that we were at pre this isn't going to happen that quickly. So that we've got to factor in.
It's an animated graphic of initial jobless claims. 1990, we had a blip in 1987. Here's 2008. And then it just goes straight up like a rocket. It goes straight up like a rocket. And that is seasonally adjusted too.
Now we are at an inflection point. It's changing. The ideology that has prevailed over the past 15 years, which was predicated upon the government having as little role as possible, is changing radically. And moving forward, you should expect the government to take a more active role in the economy and in societal issues.
It's actually been proven through a ridiculous amount of studies that greater government, especially when it comes to finance, is not the best approach, and that finance should really be left in the hands of the financiers to some extent, with governance over those financiers so they don't take advantage of the situation. But to allow the government to be in control of the finances has often not worked out well for the people.
We have been very active, also actively involved in the whole question of vaccines, about the vaccine itself. We don't know yet, for example, is one dose sufficient? Do you need 2 doses? In what interval? Do you have even to be vaccinated every year? So people assume we are just going back to the good old world which we had, and everything will be normal again in how we are used to normal, in the old fashion. This is, let's say, fiction. It will not happen. The cut which we have now is much too strong in order not to leave traces. So,
okay. Anybody got any comments so far? That's about the halfway point. Any comments? Okay.
Oh, this is really a test case where, for the capability of global cooperation. We are at a turning point of humankind. I think we should not underestimate the historical significance of the situation we are in.
I couldn't have said that better myself. There are, of course, a number of very unusual and potentially unnatural phenomenon that is occurring right now in the world, such as this.
There is a local saying in the city of Lashan: if the giant Buddha washes his feet, the city will not be able to sleep. Which means that if the water flows over the platform of the giant Buddha, the city of Lashan will be flooded. There is also an even more shocking saying: the world will be in chaos if the giant Buddha washes his feet. Weeks of heavy rainfall have resulted in record-high water levels, and the highest level of emergency response has been activated. I went to the giant Buddha in Lashan 20 years ago, and I was told by the locals that the Buddha could not have its feet washed. When saying this, they all looked terrified. Chinese official media reported that the government has been sending people to pile up sandbags overnight as the water level rises. But the Chinese netizens believe such effort was done because the government is trying to prevent the flooding of the Buddha's toes. But they could not stop this from happening. Many local people have witnessed a strange incident. They witnessed the giant Buddha statue suddenly closing its eyes overnight. The authorities had organized experts to investigate the case, but no one could explain the phenomenon.
After 15
Fourth revolution, which has a tremendous impact on business models, on society, and on the economy. Many of those technologies just look at face recognition, just look at the technologies which you need for tracking people.
Now, Stephen, another topic being discussed at Davos is the regulation of technology, and you've been hearing about the uses of facial recognition technology.
The World Economic Forum has a series of centers around the world that focus on new technology. They're called Centers of the Fourth Industrial Revolution.
The Fourth Industrial Revolution.
Fourth Industrial Revolution.
It's the Fourth Industrial Revolution.
Fourth Industrial Revolution. The Fourth Industrial Revolution.
Fourth Industrial Revolution.
It's the Fourth Industrial Revolution.
Yeah, so that's another thing you need to check out. Google it. Is the Fourth Industrial Revolution and the Great Reset. You got to do research on that.
Discussing it with the World Economic Forum's head of artificial intelligence, Kay Firth-Butterfield.
Yes, so as I say, the information will go to a third party and will be assessed by that third party. And so what we want to come out of it are recommendations for either regulation or more soft versions of governance around the technology.
So because this, again, is a fairly unknown topic and most people don't understand what is the Fourth Industrial Revolution, let me just explain now. So the Fourth Industrial Revolution is a book that was written by Professor Klaus Schwab back in January of 2017, where in this book he talks about such topics as human augmentation. He also discusses neurotechnological brain enhancements and genetic editing. And people keep saying to me, no, Neil, you're talking nonsense. These things will never happen. We're decades, we're 30, 40 years away from ever having this technology. Well, take a look at this.
So in terms of getting a link, like I said, it's essentially open a piece of skull. You remove about a coin-sized piece of skull. And then the robot inserts the electrodes.
Yeah, well, he's showing where you can go into a person's brain, cut a hole in top of the head, and put a sensor down in there, and you can control the person. But the thing about that is, all you have to do is watch the movie where Denzel was in when I can't think of the name of it. Manchurian Candidate. Watch that movie. So now they have the technology, like I was telling you before. The New Testament was concocted by their forefathers way back around the time of Council Nicaea. So they've been waiting and dealing with technology to bring all that to pass. It's not part of it. It hasn't been prophesied about, because the prophets didn't prophesy about that. They prophesied about something else. But they're using this technology to bring about what they didn't prophesy about.
So this is our surgical robot. And if you look closely, you'll see that if the electrodes are inserted very carefully, that there's no bleeding. So what the beats you're hearing are real-time signals from the Neuralink in Gertrude's head. So we said, well, what if we do 2 Neuralink implants? So it's possible to have multiple links in your head and have them all be sending out signals and be working well. In terms of additional brain reading activity, when we have say one of our pigs on a treadmill, they're on a treadmill. Funny concept, really.
So this technology already exists today, and just look at the sort of acceleration from last year to what it is today. This was unveiled just last week by Elon Musk, who of course is the founder of Tesla, the car company, as well as SpaceX. So this is the Neuralink company that he also owns. And you can just see the advancements from last year to what is in existence right now today. And even with the size of this implant now, Elon actually likens this to an old-fashioned computer versus a smartphone today. So he does say that this will get smaller and smaller over time. So this is the mind map of the 4th Industrial Revolution, directly from the World Economic Forum's website. I've not amended or changed anything on here. And you can also view this for yourself and look at some of the topics here. It is interactive, so they will go into greater detail. But there are all sorts of topics covered. Anything from something as simple as drones. You can see the drones here. Justice and law is another topic. Also AI and robotics. So here's their promotional video, so they can show you in their own words what they mean by the 4th Industrial Revolution.
The very idea of human being some sort of natural concept is really going to change.
Our bodies will be so high-tech, we won't be able to really distinguish between what's natural and what's artificial.
Okay, so let's wrap up then with the finance side on this now then. So although there isn't a lot of content or coverage on the financial side, on a reset in particular, there is this section of their mind map covering the Great Reset, the 4th Industrial Revolution, titled Financial and Monetary Systems. And you can see they cover all sorts of things from entrepreneurship to blockchain. So that's quite interesting. Quantum computers, cybersecurity, AI and robotics. All of these things so far say to me a digital currency. They also have the digital economy and new value creation. That's a very key word there. So I do think this gives us somewhat of a clue as to what's happening. With the major issues that exist with fiat currency, if you don't know, fiat currency is not money, it is something quite different. So whether you hold dollars, US dollars, Canadian dollars, you hold Australian, whether you have British pounds or euros, it doesn't matter. All of these currencies are actual fiat currencies which are not backed by anything. And the problem with a number of currencies is that they are imploding at the moment, and there's also a risk of greater inflation in the near future as a result of the new stimulus. The World Economic Forum, they also discuss the stimulus, and they talk about figures such as 10 to 11 trillion in US dollars of new stimulus to come about in order to create the Great Reset. Now, although there hasn't been any mention of a currency reset or a new digital currency, Professor Schwab did have this to say quite
Hi, my name is Markay Latimer.
Recently.
All those technologies are very much advanced now by COVID. Everything will be digitalized, which can be digitalized.
Adding fuel to the fire here of my suspicions, why are all of the investors into this initiative, or almost all, financial institutions? These are some of the largest banks and investment funds.
Yeah, so now we're back to the people that's contributing to this are the same people that was funded Hitler, same ones that funded the transatlantic slave trade and Napoleon. Now they all behind this. So that's your giveaway sign right there.
In the world that are investing into this. Now, I don't know about you, but when I look at, say, CEOs, or I look at these investment firms, some of them, not all, but some of them do not have a good track record. And the purpose of a corporation is to make profits for the shareholders. So why would a number of these banks and financiers be interested in what's known as a green revolution? How would that profit and benefit those organizations? So I do suspect that there is an alternative motive for all of these huge global elites and hedge funds and financiers meeting in one place in 2021 to discuss this great reset. But that is just my personal opinion. I have no evidence to support that. But with the rise of cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin as the most well-known example, and the falling value of fiat currencies such as the US dollar, which has been losing value since its creation, I think it's only a matter of time until the central banks do have to switch to a digital currency in order to not get overtaken by something such as Bitcoin. Because if there was a crash in the fiat currencies that we use, people would have no choice but to use something else as a currency. And we already have these blockchains set up that can handle things such as Bitcoin, and it can be used in very small methods of payment. So I think personally, and again, this is just my own speculation, I think the central banks are meeting, and they are probably in development right now to create these digital currencies in order to make a switch over. So what does that mean for the currency that you have in your bank account right now? Well, no one really knows at this stage whether or not it would simply get transferred over, or whether there would be a complete reset, which is also possible and likely, and that something could happen to the currency that you hold, the money as you call it, in your bank account. At this stage, we just don't know, but it is something I'm very concerned about. Which brings...
Okay. That being said, anybody got any comments on what they heard? Or they want to talk about it? Okay. Okay. Something going on with your mic. Okay. Yeah, anyway, so I like I said, I played that because of so many people not aware of what these people do, what they setting up. And when you look at all that he said and all that when you see what they're doing behind the scenes, what they're doing is they reconstructing humans just like they do TVs and microwaves and all that, smart TVs and smart this and smart that. And so they're doing the humans, they bring the humans along the same way. You know, they're doing them the same way. So you say, well, what you talking about? Well, we know they have the like they have this global reset initiative. They have the Belt and Road Initiative over in Africa, and they building Akon is a prime example. He's building a smart city. What's a smart city? A smart city is a city that's got everything in it with modern technology. Everything is vibrating and communicating off everything else. So what you see them doing is they in the process of doing the humans the same way. And so they building all these smart cities all over the place. We saw the other couple of weeks or so ago about what Gates trying to do in Arizona. He's trying to build a smart city in Arizona. So what they doing is they got us preoccupied with all this drama, and the whole time they putting the system in place. And they at the point now where it's pretty much in place. So you can expect a whole bunch of drama to start happening here in a minute. And like I was saying before, like I went ahead and did this video right here was because like I said, I did this because the power keep going out over here where I'm at. They still messing around with our electrical grid or whatever, and they testing it. So I didn't want to be until I was in the middle of a class and the power go out. So I went ahead and got this out the way today. And like I said, we got another tropical storm coming. It's supposed to hit either tonight or in the morning sometime and bring a lot of wind and water. Anybody got any comments or questions for anything they didn't came across or something we talked about today? No comments?
Yes.
Okay.
I was just wanting to mention if everybody on the line has not watched the video on Bitcoin or either Ethereum, they need to watch them. Bitcoin is taking off. So even when you go into the bigger cities now, they're not taking change, and they're not even dealing with money. It's credit cards. And so crypto is getting ready to take over. And we are the ones that are usually behind the ball because we don't want to inform each other. Right. So I'm just letting everybody on the line know they need to start watching videos and learning how cryptocurrency work. And you was talking about Akon City.
Right.
And once the city is built, he's only going to be dealing with cryptocurrency only, which is going to be called Acoin, AKOIN. So that's just the future. And so we need to stay ahead and inform each other on what's going on out there in the world. It may be new to us, but it's not new to them.
Right. And that's every city, pretty much the direction you can see they're going in is every city or whatever country gonna have its own Bitcoin and profit off of it like that. Because so they just the dollar's already gone. They're holding it around long enough to get everything they want in place. And what they doing, the mechanism that they're using to set all this up is the COVID-19.
Right, exactly.
They brought on the scene. Is like I said, it's just like a tsunami. It's you thinking that what you're seeing is it, but it's behind the scenes. Like I say, a tsunami comes when the water get displaced in the ocean. Then it's a week later or 2 weeks later when the waves, 100-foot waves hit the shoreline. You think it's over with, but it's 100-foot waves on the way and that's what happened with this. And the guy was showing you that where it's happening all around everybody, but because of the same people that's invested in all this stuff, they own all the news outlets. So they don't want you to know nothing about what's going on because they want you to be caught off guard when it happens. Okay.
Right.
Anybody else have anything? Any more comments? Yeah, so I wanted to come in on that. I mean, I don't know if anybody's familiar with it, but I was telling you about everything these people done. They put it on the dollar first, and so it's almost like a prophecy in the Bible. Okay, it's almost like it's a prophecy in the Bible. When the Most High, if you see if the Most High give you a prophecy, you can put your bottom dollar on it. It's gonna come to pass. Well, it's the same thing with what these folks doing. They go through all the changes to put this stuff on the dollar, on the money. It's gonna happen. They had that Oklahoma bombing on the dollar, on the money, and they had 9/11 on the money, and they call it a water event, so-called water event, supposed to happen in New York, and what that is it's supposed to be a tsunami, 100-foot waves of water supposed to hit New York. So how is that supposed to happen? Well, when you can Google this if you want to, but you can fold the money a certain type of way, and it'll show you that. It's like they did with the 9/11 and the building in Oklahoma, and they have the $100 bill, the new $100 bill shows you where they're gonna Hoover Dam. They're gonna explode the Hoover Dam. But anyway, it sounds far-fetched, but like I said, go look at it, go Google it on YouTube, and then they show where they're showing a incinerator device going down in the ocean. They're gonna set off a nuclear bomb in the ocean, in the Atlantic Ocean. But they didn't prophesy this and talked about it for 1 year. I mean, for like 30 years. That every year they'll tell you it's a meteorite that's coming and it's gonna pass through the close to the Earth's atmosphere. Well, they got a meteorite coming now. It's supposed to pass through the Earth's atmosphere, but the scenario is that this meteorite gonna hit the Atlantic Ocean, but it ain't gonna be no meteorite. It's gonna be a nuclear bomb. They're gonna explode in the Atlantic Ocean, and like I was telling you, when they explode, it's gonna displace the water. And it's gonna send out 100-foot waves in all directions, and they're gonna hit the sea coast. They're gonna hit the coast, and so that's what's on the dollar bill. That's on the $100 bill, the new $100 bill. These waves, they're showing you this 100-foot wave coming over the buildings in New York. So like I said, you Google it. So like I said before, they had the 9/11. They had that on the dollar bill, and everybody fumbled with that. 9/11 came. And they had, like I said, they had the Oklahoma City bombing on the dollar bill, and that came to pass. So they got this on there. So from me and doing the research on this stuff and tracking it, it's gonna be simultaneous. Now the Hoover Dam. When you understand the course, the original course of the river, Colorado River. If they blow the Hoover Dam up, that water is going to go back where it went, where it used to go before they dammed it up. And so that's going to be millions of people going to be in the path of that water. And at the same time, they have the tsunami coming toward the East Coast. 100-foot waves pretty much wipe the East Coast out. So like I said, I mean, all I can do is tell you about it. You can check it out on your own, you know what I'm saying? And it's better to be informed than not informed. So anyway, I see a question saying that can people without Bitcoins barter? I can't really. It'd be better, like I said, to have if you don't have Bitcoins, to have gold or silver, because that's a mediator between any kind of currency. If you got gold and silver, you can do pretty much barter. So to be safe, go with the gold and the silver.
Leonard, I have a question. Do you think that we are going to be in Africa once all of that happens?
Well, I think what I think is that's gonna be like I said before. When you understand how these people work, they open these doors up. That was the whole thing behind the. Like I was saying, we watched the thing on Saturday about Dr. Arcana making the statements, vaguely, like they do in the New Testament. She's talking about 400 years, but she had no clue about nothing that has to do with the Hebrew Israelites. But she's using prophecies and Israelite jargon to make it look like she knows what's going on, but she don't have no clue about Israelites. So they setting us up. They open the door for us when they passed that bill. Trump passed that bill when he first got in the White House about 400-year prophecy, and then they had 2019, the year of return, and all that. So they opened the door up and opened everybody's mind up to the fact that Africa is for centuries they thought they made Africa look like it was a horrible place to go to, but now that they want you over there, now they open the doors up to make it look presentable. But they had to present it to you first before they bring the drama. So when they bring the drama, then they already set you up with a place you can go. And that's what I think that's what they're doing. They're gonna when all this drama break out, they're gonna give you the option to you already got an option. They already know where you headed. Where else is a black person or a black man gonna go? The total chaos break out over here. Where they gonna go? The natural thing to do is, and they are, like I said, they already opened the doors up to go to Africa. They got 10-hour flights now straight into Africa. But like I said, for years they went all around. They made everything unpresentable. But now they're making everything kosher and easy and easy accessible to go straight to Africa, because that's part of the plan. They're making this place so it's really the Most High behind it, but he's using them to do it. But they're making this place so undesirable that nobody wants to be here no more.
Right. Jeanette had put some questions in the chat. I don't know if you can see those or not.
In the chat, let me see.
Some comments, yes.
Okay. See, there are 34 foreign military bases located inside the continent of Africa. Okay, the school shootings were done by persons who were mind controlled. Notice that they all ended up being assassinated. Okay. Bitcoins is a good investment stock. We will not be able to tell the difference in a natural body and a digital body. Birth control is no longer a pill, it's something electronic in a woman's arm. Okay, which version of the Great Reset video was that one? How long is the video? The one I played was the Great Reset Explained. 27 minutes and 27 minutes, 16 seconds. But I got another one. This guy does a pretty good job too. Is the Global Elites Great Reset Agenda. That's 37 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay. Okay. Anybody got anything else before we close out?
I have one more thing, Leonard. If anybody on the line does not know anything about Bitcoin, you can go on YouTube and just type in Bitcoin for beginners. And that will you know, start explaining how Bitcoins work, how you should start investing and things like that. Again, cryptocurrency is going to take over. So I just think that the more information we share among each other, the better informed we will be, and we will know how to handle ourselves when that time happens, because at a drop of a dime, the dollar bill is going to be gone. So Bitcoin for Beginners is a great video to watch.
Okay. Okay, anybody else got anything before we close out? And yeah, I was for anybody that's willing, yeah, I'm getting ready to do that video Wednesday. I got some of my images, but I gotta pick a bunch of them up tomorrow. But so yeah, and I had something else too that I was gonna that need to be discussed, you know, but it's like I said, my power kept going off every 20 minutes. I didn't want to get in the middle of something, and the power would click off. So I'm probably gonna either do that. I'm gonna do that Friday, along with Q&A. But yeah, it's got to do with what I was telling about the melanin and all that. I found some. Yeah, I'm gonna show you this right now. I was telling you about earlier, a couple of maybe a month or so ago, about the you know, with so many elements in between when the Israelites left in 143 BC and when Christianity came on the scene. But they don't tell you all that, and they just all that history they just removed it. And that's one of the reasons why they burnt down the Library of Alexandria. And I found out that they burned it down twice. But anyway, so I was telling you that it's a religion that jumping off of Buddhism that came about. It was called Gnosticism, and it was from Buddha being mixed with the Egyptian civilization, with the mystery system. And so that's the reason why, and that's when Jesus tied into that, because he was up in the monastery in Caesarion was up in this monastery up in India, and then he came back. And when he came back, you know, like I was saying, he came back, and then, you know, that's why everybody was coming running to him, because they knew he was Judas' son. But the people that was dealing with him was called Gnostics. And that's why the Roman Empire didn't want to deal with the Gnostics. But when Constantine came on the scene, they needed a religion to unify the Roman Empire. They went and predicated Christianity off of Gnosticism, but they had to get rid of the Gnostics. So they started. That's who they was killing in the arenas. They saying they was Christian. That's who was hiding in the catacombs. If you know anything about all that, that's who was hiding. It was these Gnostics. And so I did a lot of research on it, but I just you can't really talk about some things until conversations come up. That's why I'm always trying to do Q&A. But one of the books is the Gnostics. You find out about them, and so that's one of the books. And you got another one right here. Right here. So it's Gnostics. See? Now, like I said, who knows about this? So, they hid this from the population. And then you go to the last one. And this is what I was telling you about. They found the Dead Sea Scrolls. And the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Essenes was dealing with the Dead Sea Scrolls up in Qumran on the Dead Sea, but the Salt Sea. Anyway, but before that, in 1945, they found these books called the Nag Hammond Library. They found these books, but they don't talk about them. And there's a collection of Gnostic books. And once you started reading this, and you see that this is all this is where they come. This is how Jesus come about. Yeah. So when you find all that out, you get a whole bunch of because a lot of people, back in their psychic, they still be in a way kind of, you know, because of what they done with us with Jesus. You know, it's ingrained in people's head. You gotta, you know, you gotta be diligent. You're doing your research and get this like a black dot in your head. You got to get it out, because if you don't know, if you don't do that and understand and get the full understanding and the process of how he came into existence, then you know you find yourself alluding to that when you don't it had nothing to do with you. And so that's the video that I was gonna deal with tonight. But I, you know, like I said, I didn't want to when it comes to stuff like that, I don't want it to be interrupted. So I'm gonna bring it back up again on Friday, and I'm gonna do it'll be probably better, because I'd rather present the what's going on with Buddhism first before I introduce this, because then you'll see it. It'll all flow together. So with that being said, nobody have any more comments or questions? Okay. So I'm gonna see y'all Wednesday. We're gonna be come early, because we're going all the way in on Buddhism. Probably gonna be there for at least a couple hours and a half, because I want to get everything in there and get the video on where people can watch it. Shalom, shalom, and another shalom.